Welcome to today's lesson in which we are going to talk about phrases for casual conversation. These are useful phrases that you can use in a variety of contexts. And if you enjoy building your vocabulary, then please subscribe, turn on notifications. That way I can become your teacher. My name is Wes. The channel is Interactive English. It's all about trying to help you reach your fluency goals. And if this is your first time here, let me know. Write your name in the chat, in the comments. I just love hearing from you. Now, you'll notice that this is a quiz lesson. I am going to quiz you on these phrases, and I want you to participate. I want you to write your answers in the chat, in the comments, and I'll try to give some shout outs as we go through the lesson. Now, the first little quick announcement that I would like to make is that if you are someone who would like to practice and improve and develop your speaking skills, you can check out my speaking course. There is a link down below in the description. It's for intermediate to advanced speakers. It's all about trying to help you speak confidently, speak clearly, and speak naturally. You can also use the code SPEAK20 to get $20 off. I'll go ahead and throw a that little announcement in the chat right there as well, and maybe circle back to this, because actually the phrases that we're going to talk about in today's lesson are from the upcoming course. This is some of the vocabulary that we'll be practicing and using in the upcoming speaking course. So here is your first question. And the way that I've done this is I've given you a picture to help you think about, well, what is this phrase? It's a little bit of a hint, and then I've given you the meaning. And as we go through this, I think it'll get a little more difficult. But I tried to include a variety of things, different phrases, expressions, idioms that are, very common, very useful, as well as some that maybe you don't know. So I tried to give you a range, because some are very specific, like this one: to entertain someone at a restaurant with good food, wine, etc. I don't want to give it away, but what do you think? What would you say? What is this phrase? You're entertaining someone at a restaurant with good food and wine. It's a nice meal. What is it that you are doing? What do you think? Any guesses? Let me go ahead and I'll tell you, because this one is a little more challenging. So you see the picture of pouring the wine. So the answer: to wine and dine. Excellent. Saw it, Mila. Perfect. Good job. So, Alfredo, nice. Wine and dine, this is a verb. It's a binomial pair, which is a phrase that contains two words joined by a conjunction. And often that conjunction is and or. It's not always the case. I've given you some examples right here. Pros and cons. More or less. Little by little. Those are all binomial pairs, and I think those are more often used. You're probably familiar with those already. And notice little by little, we're not using and or in that case. But if you say that you are wining and dining someone, you're entertaining this person at a restaurant, and there's really a reason for that. You're really trying to impress someone. So let me give you some examples so you can see how this binomial pair, how this phrase is used in context. So I've found some news headlines. So the first one: calling all New York City execs. Tell us where you wine and dine your clients. So think about that. You're wining and dining your clients. You might use this in the context of work. You're trying to impress and entertain some clients, and you might wine and dine them. Or Japan's First Date Awards reveals the best places to wine and dine when dating in Tokyo. You go out on a date, maybe the first day, you want to impress this person, and you're going to wine and dine them. And then the last one: how to wine and dine your way through Hungary this fall. This is actually an article that I should probably read because I live in Budapest. But hopefully that gives you a better understanding how you're going to use this phrase in context. And just keep in mind that, yes, it is a verb. So let's look at the next one. Again, I saw these answers. Maybe I think you guys rock that one. What do you think? agreeing about something, such as how things should be done. So, what phrase would you use? And you can see the picture of the book right there. You're agreeing about something, such as how it should be done. This is an idiom, and I'll go ahead and tell you that I think this one is important when you're talking about work, especially when you're talking about working on as a team and you're working with a group of people. In that case, it's important that you agree about something, such as how things should be done, and you want to make sure that everyone is what? All right, it's very close. I saw one seeing eye to eye. Yes, that does mean to agree with someone. Then that would work. That's not the one I'm thinking of because you can see in the picture of this book. What would you say? Excellent. Nice. Fatty acid, Aloisa, Hadi. We're talking about to be on the same page. So when you say that people are on the same page, they know what's happening, they agree about what's going on, what you should do, and like I said, often you may use this when talking about working in a group, and you want to make sure that everyone is on the same page. I give you this example sentence. In order to meet the deadline, we all need to be on the same page. Awesome. Here we go. Here's the next one, and here's a side note. If you can tell me which I don't want to give you the answer. I don't want to give it away just yet. So I'll tell you once I give you the answer. Here's Emmy making a little cameo. Do you want to say hi to everybody real quickly? Just say hi. She's like, what's going on? Not familiar with these live videos. So I love you too. I love you too. So the meaning is to get to the point without wasting time. What again? It's another idiom. You're getting it to the point without wasting time, and you might say, let's do this. What do you think? And when I give you the answer, then I'll talk a little bit more about this picture. But as you can see in the picture, you have all those police cars following this other car. So when you want to get to the point without wasting time, you're going to cut to the chase. When you cut to the chase, that's exactly what's happening. Great job. Nice. Lolly, awesome. Good to see you. Jihad, perfect. All right. Julia, good job. So I thought I would go ahead and give you the origin of this idiom, this phrase. I don't think should be no surprise. It originated in the American film industry, in the earlier movies that ended in like a chase scene. That is the final action sequence. And when you cut to something, when you're talking about movies or TVs, that's where you're going to move to. You cut to the chase, you go straight to the end, to that chase scene. Now, the question that I had for you that I wanted to ask you about was this chase. I didn't want to say the word chase. Do you recognize this famous chase scene right here? This is not from a movie. This was real life. I think I might be dating myself a little bit because I remember watching this on TV back when I was in high school. So I'll go ahead and tell you. This is a famous chase from 1994. The California Highway Patrol officers were chasing this white Ford Bronco that had Al Cowlings, who was driving, and O.J. Simpson in the back seat. This was in California, 91 freeway. So, again, this was an old trial, O.J. Simpson, when he was alleged to have murdered someone. But it's kind of a well-known, I think, picture, but that's more American culture. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. And I'm switching it up a little bit. Now I'm going to give you the meaning of the phrase as well as an example sentence in which you would fill in the blank. And I always say I think it's going to get a little more difficult, but then you all generally prove me wrong when I say that. So the meaning of this phrase is to confront or accept the unpleasant consequences of something you have done. And I'm giving you this sentence down here to try to help you figure out the phrase that I'm talking about. I need to tell her that it was my mistake. It's time to. Mm. What would you say? And I think not always. You might hear it like that last sentence. It's time to do this. It's time to what? I see some answers. So really, again, you are confessing something. It's a synonym for confess. But this phrase is another idiom, and you would say it's time to face the music. When you are going to accept these, bad consequences, you're going to confess, and then you're going to face the music and say, yes, it was me. I have done this, and it's time to face the music. Nice job. I saw some good answers. Just throw some new ones. Snowflake, Angela, Ava, Talal, perfect. It's time to face the music. Here's one that I think is probably a little more difficult. And it is a phrase that is more specific. It's not one that you may end up using all the time. It really depends on what you're talking about. But you would use this to indicate that there is no practical reason to continue discussing a particular topic. It's basically impractical to keep talking about this. There's just not going to be a satisfactory resolution. So here's the example sentence down below. Whether or not I would have been a good doctor is a as I have decided to become a teacher. So in this case, it's like, look, it's irrelevant. Why are we talking about this? It's a and that's a little bit of a hint because we're going to use this phrase as a noun. And you would say it is what I like that. It's a waste of time. That is true. So this also would be kind of a synonym for a waste of time. But in this context, it has more to do with a discussion. And you're having a discussion with someone else or a group of people. And basically you're saying, look, this is irrelevant. There's not going to be an answer. So why are we talking about this? It is a what? And always with these, I hope it is maybe a little more challenging. My goal is that you always learn something new with these lessons, learn a new word or phrase, just some new vocabulary. So I think some of you guys are kind of on the right track talking about like useless, waste of time. Again, there are different phrases that you probably could put in there. In this case, talking about a moot point. And I'm giving you the pronunciation is around there. That first word, a moot point, moot. All right, you can hear my pronunciation sounds like boot or suit or moot. And when you say something is a moot point, that is exactly what you mean. Like, why are we talking about this? It doesn't matter. It's a moot point. So in the context, hopefully it makes a little more sense. If someone has decided to become a teacher, the fact that you're saying, oh, you'd be such a great doctor, this is, what do you think about this? And you say, look, it's a moot point. I've already made a decision. Why are we talking about this? So here are a few synonyms maybe to kind of help you wrap your head around this if this is the first time you're hearing this phrase. So in the example I gave you, it's more like pointless or irrelevant. Like, why even discuss it? It's pointless, it's irrelevant, it's a moot point. You could also use it as a synonym for saying something is arguable or even debatable. So once again, if two people are having a discussion, let me give you a very quick example. If you have somebody who is very religious and somebody who is not religious, and they're trying to have a discussion about, I don't know, what happens once we die. They're going to have probably different opinions, and you could say, well, it's arguable, it's debatable, and really maybe if they're not going to disagree, it's like, well, why even have the discussion? It's a moot point. Because in the end, like we don't know. It's a moot point. So this is a good one again when you're having a talk or a discussion with someone and you're saying, "Look, why are we talking about this? It doesn't matter. It's a moot point." Good phrase. Good phrase. All right. Here is the next one. The meaning: thinking that you are very important in a way that annoys other people. And there may be some other phrases in here, but to put a finer point on it, check out the example sentence. He thinks he knows everything. He's so of And of is, I guess you could say it's a key word. Hopefully it's a hint. It's part of the phrase. This is, you could say that someone is of when they think that they are just important, they know everything, and they do it in a way that is annoying. So if you use this phrase to describe someone, to describe a person, it has a negative connotation. It's not a good thing when you say this about someone. Excellent, Rahel, you nailed it. You would say that someone is full of oneself. So you're going to use that reflexive pronoun. Full of himself, full of herself, full of yourself. In this case, he thinks he knows everything. He's so full of himself. And I tried to show you that picture right there. That guy looks like he's full of himself. And you saying someone is like a know-it-all, that's another good phrase, that's another good guess. And that would fit this as well. If you say someone's a know-it-all, it also has a negative connotation, saying that somebody, they know everything and it annoys other people. So I think you guys are kind of on the right track, again, using words like I saw one like narcissistic, that works as well. But if you say someone's full, if you say, oh, you're so full of yourself, that's what you're saying, that, this person is just annoying you. They think that what they do is amazing. They're very important. They know everything. And you can say, oh, they're full of it. He's so full of himself. Here's the next one. And I told you that I'll try to make it a little more difficult. And now I'm just giving you a picture. So I have a few more, and I'll give you a hint. But just looking at this picture, can you think of the phrase? I feel like, no, maybe I think you can get this. You see this picture, everybody's out there, looks like they're singing songs, they're drinking, they're having a good time, they're partying. But in the middle of the picture, what do you see? What's in the middle of the picture? I don't know if I'll give you the answer to the next one or if it's just a hint. Let's find out. If I go ahead and give you the answer, I apologize. Oh, so yes. So the answer is a social butterfly. And I'm going to give you the meaning down there. It's a person who often likes to attend parties and other social events. You would say someone is a social butterfly. This is a phrase that you could use to describe a person. Somebody who's very social, they like talking with others, and you could refer to them as a social butterfly. I think it does have, it has a more of a positive connotation, but it's just really a descriptive phrase when talking about someone's personality. Excellent. Seems like you guys, I think, knew that one. I didn't give you probably long enough to answer, so I apologize. Here is, I give you an example sentence as well. He used to go to a lot of parties. He was a real social butterfly. In this example, it'd be like you're talking about someone in the past. They used to do this thing. They used to be like this. And he was a real social butterfly. Here's the next one. All right, just looking at the picture, can you think of a phrase that would apply to this picture? You see these footprints, and I can go ahead and tell you it's like they're trying to sweep them away so that another person doesn't notice them, doesn't know that they're there, and it like that says at the bottom, I was never here. All right, love those hearts. If you guys are learning some new words, new phrases, let me know. When I see those hearts, it makes me think, okay, maybe you guys are learning some new things. It's always great to build your vocabulary. And again, take these quiz lessons, participate. This is interactive English after all. So I saw like to sweep something under the rug. No, that is another one when you're trying to hide something or conceal. In this case, what I'm talking about, perfect pink thumb, uh, we're trying to, I'll give you the meaning. This is where I feel like I maybe messed up and gave you the word too soon on the last one. You're trying to hide something that you have done so that other people do not find out. So it's like there's some evidence that would say that, okay, you're there and you try to get rid of the evidence. And you're trying to what? Excellent, Julia. We're trying to cover your tracks. I didn't want anyone to know that I ate the cookie, so I had to cover my tracks. Maybe I cleaned up the mess, and I just didn't want anyone to know it was me. So this is one that you may use, or you may hear people use it if you're watching something related to, I don't know, crime or a mystery, and somebody's trying to cover their tracks and conceal the evidence. Once again, to give you a better idea as to how this phrase is used in context, I have some news headlines for you. And as I was looking this up, I think this is also a relevant phrase when talking about the internet and things that you do online, because privacy is really important. So this first headline is how to cover your tracks every time you go online. You don't want other businesses or apps to know what sites you're using and what you're looking at, and maybe you want to cover your tracks. The next one, how to cover your tracks when snooping on someone's phone or computer. Okay, so that probably when you're snooping on someone's phone or computer, that's not a good thing. But I imagine if somebody's doing that, then they would want to cover their tracks so that the other person doesn't know. And that last one, I used someone else's debit card. How do I cover my tracks? So you can see that just based on these headlines, we're using this phrase related to technology, the internet, and trying to conceal some evidence and hide it, and you're trying to cover your tracks. Here's the next one. And I don't know if this picture makes it easy or makes it a little more difficult, but what phrase are we talking about? This is an idiom. And you can see that there's money, and it looks like someone is snorting the money. That's not really, well, I guess it is kind of what the picture is trying to say. But what are you doing? This really has to do with, let me give you another hint, buying something. And you're not happy about this. And what could you say that you had to do? You had to buy it. Maybe you didn't have a choice and you were frustrated. And you're telling someone else, oh, I had to. So I hope I don't give it away again. I think I maybe give you a hint or the meaning and then the word, but maybe I'm wrong. Yes, so you're paying too much for something. And to add a little more to that, you're paying too much for something that normally it would not be this price. So often you may use this phrase, this idiom, when talking about things where the price may fluctuate. And I'll give you an example, and hopefully it'll make a little more sense. So I saw one answer before. Nice, Tila. Good job. Armen, Angela, Julia. We're talking about when someone says that they had to pay through the nose for something. I waited until the last minute to get my flight. Therefore, I paid through the nose for the ticket. So I just mentioned things like fluctuate. Airline tickets, concert tickets, hotels, and maybe there is an event that's going on and you go to book a hotel and so many people are trying to come to the city, you're going to have to pay a lot more money to book a hotel room. And then you tell someone, yeah, I had to pay through the nose to get this hotel room, or I paid through the nose for your flight. So in a way, it's like you paid too much for something, and there might be a reason for that. In this example, you wait until the last minute to get your flight. Once that happens, the prices, they just go up and up and up and up. And then you have to pay through the nose in order to get it. So hopefully that makes a little more sense, adding that slight nuance. So here are a review. There were just 9 phrases that I wanted to go over, and I'm going to go back through them one more time. And I told you all of these phrases are actually part of the speaking course. If you're interested in practicing and improving your skills, there is some availability. Check out the link down below in the description. So let's go through these. We talked about the first one is to wine and dine someone. This is not the most commonly used binomial pair, but it's very specific. You're entertaining someone, you're showing them a good time. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be drinking wine, but it's like you want to impress this person. We talked about wining and dining business clients would be a good example. Then we talked about being on the same page. I used it with the verb to be because often you will use it like we are on the same page. We need to be on the same page. It doesn't mean you're always going to use it with that verb. You could say we need to get on the same page and we need to agree about how things should be done and what's going on, and you need to be on the same page. The next one, cut to the chase. You're going to go straight to the point without wasting any time. Let's just cut to the chase. To face the music, this is when you are confronting or accepting unpleasant consequences, something you've done. It's time to face the music. Then we have a moot point. So we use this when you want to say that, well, there's no reason to continue discussing something. We're not going to reach a resolution. It's kind of it's a moot point. And full of oneself. You're thinking that you're very important, the way you do something, what you know, what you do, it annoys other people. You could say somebody, he's so full of himself. Social butterfly, this is a phrase that you could use to describe a person, somebody who's very social. They go to a lot of parties, they go to a lot of events, and they are a social butterfly. Then we had to cover your tracks. You're trying to hide or conceal some evidence, and you want to cover your tracks. And we just talked about this one right here. When you pay through the nose, you're paying a lot for something. You're paying too much, and you would pay through the nose. So there are many of these. Somebody was asking, I believe, that are these idioms. Many of them are idioms. Some of them are not. Really, a phrase idioms could be one word. Really, a phrase is just any expression that has 2 or more words, so it's very broad. But most idioms are phrases because they have more than one word. And one thing, again, I'll just leave this up here. I do want to ask you, how did you do on the quiz? I'm going to put a little poll in there quickly, and then you can let me know. So let me know. What do you think? If you nailed it, you knew, I don't know, most of them, you got 8 out of 10 or 8 out of 9. There are 9 that we talked about today. Or did you say, not bad. Maybe you knew 4 or 5 of them and you knew about half, or you didn't know many of them and you could say, well, I learned a lot of new phrases today. And again, this is not something that if you learn something new that you're going to remember it forever. I always think it's good to go back a few days later, a week later, review the word or phrase. Anytime you're trying to build vocabulary, get that spaced repetition. I always think it's good to keep a document with new vocabulary so that you can go back, review it. I know a lot of times people tell me they go back and watch these lessons, and I think that's great. That's the best way to take new vocabulary, move it up here, make it a part of your active memory. So kind of curious just seeing where we're at right now. Looks like many of you learned a lot of new phrases, and that makes me happy. I'm always happy when people learn something new, and about 10% of you said you nailed it. All right, so I want to say, I want to thank you for joining me for today's lesson. This is our first live lesson of the new year, and there are going to be many, many more to come throughout the year. And I look forward to seeing you in those lessons and having you participate in them as well. Because once again, this is interactive English. That's what it's all about, having you be a part of these lessons and actually take part in these lessons. So I'm going to end the poll. I think we've got quite a few votes. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you. Just quick some shout outs. Lolly, great to see you. Sid, Angela, Julia, Kevin, Sleepwalker, good to see Alfredo. Thank you guys so much for being